Welcome to An Aries and Pisces Walk Into a Coffee Shop, the podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Bridget, she, her.
And I'm Tiffany, she, her. This is a podcast where two friends let go of perfectionism and talk unedited. You can find us at the links in our show notes.
Support the show by buying us a coffee. Also, subscribe and share this episode with a friend. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So we were talking about being a basket case before we started recording. And I was just thinking that, what did I say? I want less pressure on feeling like I have to perform in a certain way or know certain things or get things right or know how to do things. And I just want to be like, what if I learn everything by trying? So I'm not going to, my voice, excuse me. So it's okay if I don't know how to do something. I'm going to just say, yes, I can try to do that thing and I'm going to learn how to do it while I'm doing it. And on one hand, that sounds like, oh, Bridget, that's all you ever talk about anyway is experimenting and trying shit. But on the other hand, I see so much where I hold myself back because I am oh no, I don't know how to do that thing. So I won't even pursue it or try it. And
right. We're on the spiral staircase. This is another turn in the same staircase of needing to experiment and practice things. A few things. We've been doing this for years. This intention. Basket case is the newest iteration, but we went through Unhinged, we went through Feral, now we're doing Basket Case.
Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, why did Basket Case come into my mind? I'm not sure. But then I was thinking about The Breakfast Club, obviously. And then when I Googled the Basket Case, the song by Green Day was the first thing that came up. So now that's stuck in my head. But I was thinking, I was like, what's the difference between Basket Case and Unhinged? I'm like, oh, I'm just going back to Unhinged and maybe I am, I don't know, expounding on it or bringing it out even further.
Yes.
Maybe.
The way I've been thinking about it, which is less succinct, is, and I've talked about it here because, again, we're just on the spiral staircase, the showing up not feeling 100% or showing up when I have limited resources and finding out anyway. And I actually just read something today that's really aligned with that. A performer acquaintance posted a slide talking about, I think it was a theater class. And they were doing musicals, I think. The details don't really matter. It was a class and someone was a little under the weather and they didn't want to sing their song. And then everyone encouraged them to do it anyway. And so they did. And it was the best that any of them had ever heard her sing. And the professor took the opportunity to remind people show up even if you're not sure you can show up, because you don't know what's going to be the best performance of your life until it's happened. You can't predict that. And so just do it. And maybe it'll be the best performance of your life. And so she has taken that forward with her. And she's obviously not every performance your best performance, but the mindset makes it so that you show up for yourself, whether it's rehearsal or a performance, even when you're not sure you can do it, or even if you don't want to do it for whatever reasons, which is something I've been thinking about a lot. Not just in doing things, learning things or performance, but even just with relationships. I'm just I'm having a bad day. I feel out of sorts. My brain fog's bad, but this person wants to hang out with me and they're nice. And they won't judge me, and just showing up anyway and finding out, oh, I am capable of having a really nice time and connecting with someone. even when I'm not having the best body day or mental health day.
Yeah, that's exactly like what is going on with me. Later today, I'm going to meet somebody who like, I like to hang out with, to spend time with, and it was like we like tried to schedule something, but I like really wasn't feeling it, and I was like, let's check back in like a week or so, and then it's like 3 weeks later, and I was like, oh holy shit, I forgot. But we're like, this time today like works, and I'm like, I'm kind of feeling like a zombie, but also like, what if this is going to be one of those times where I go and I'm like, oh yeah, that was exactly what I needed.
Yeah. And
It's
I'm
hard.
finding out more often than not that's what happens. It's pretty rare that I really actually regret showing up somewhere. Sometimes I regret staying as long as I did, because we talked about that, the trying to figure out how to transition out of a situation. Still working on that part. But for the most part, I'm always really glad that I tried to connect with people, or I showed up to do the hard thing that I wasn't sure I was going to be capable of.
Yeah, this is for me another thing that I'm trying to, I guess, like figure out is the, I don't know, is it discernment between like, ugh, I don't feel like doing a thing right now, and is it my intuition or my whatever being like, oh yeah, this isn't the thing for me right now? Or is it that like I get curious and go and try it and see what happens? And I'm like really torn right now.
Yes, I've been thinking about that for myself in the context of what's challenging myself and what's like depleting my already limited resources, like trying to figure out what's worth it. And what I'm finding out is I just don't know. And any data is good data. So there have been times where I said yes to a thing and kind of pushed myself a little too far and then had to recover, and then been like, instead of beating myself up about it, which is my go-to move, I should have known. I should have did something different. And it's just like, okay, yeah, I tried that, and it cost more than it gave, and now I know that. And I feel like maybe over time, the more I pay attention, the what's going to be worth it and what's not is going to become more clear. And as I'm saying that, I actually am having that happen, because there's things that I've said no to that either I found out was a great idea for me, because like someone else that went to the event told me about it, and I'm just like, yeah, I didn't need that. That would have been not nourishing. Or I just didn't feel any of that missing out feeling afterwards. I'm just like, oh, I didn't need to go to that. The anticipating of the missing out feeling almost made me say yes. But I knew that I was tired or had other things going on that week that I wanted energy for. And I didn't go, and I felt great about not going.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I know. And before I go any further, can you hear that beeping in the background?
Well, now that you brought it up.
Oh, you can. That is, there's some like fucking truck outside, and it's probably going to be going on the entire time, and there's nothing I could do about it, but it's like all I can hear. So
It's not as loud to me as it is to you. It was only when we stopped talking and I like paused that I heard.
Okay, let's not stop talking then, I guess. So I was gonna say, like, right, what you were saying, I did have like a thing this weekend that the answer was very clear to me. Like somebody asked to do something, it was like kind of last minute, somebody that I would love to hang out with, and we've been trying to like figure something out for a while, and it just so happened that like she was in town. But I knew I was like completely depleted, and I already had like a bunch of like to do things to do. And I was like, all I wanted to do was sit on the couch with Luke and watch Bake Off. We just had a season finale, and I was like, that's literally all I want to do, is like just lay down and just do nothing.
That sounds like a really
And
good decompression. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and so I was like, hey, like I can't right now. I've like all my social interaction stuff is like up, and she's very understanding and everything. And there was part of me that was like kind of bummed. Like we've been trying
Yeah.
to do this for a while and I would like to. And so I was like, should I just say yes? But then when like I was asking Luke about it, trying to figure out some plans, and he was like, well, why don't you go and do this? And I was like, everything in my body says no. Like couch. I just want to be like alone,
Mm-hmm.
like, and and then, yeah, I felt really good about that answer. And then also too, we were like, we'll figure it out when it's a better time. Um, so yeah, sometimes I feel like I better know, I know the answer better, or know, like, feel better about making the decision, but a lot of times it feels like it's like up in the air. I guess like what I'm going through right now is with like applying for jobs,
Mm-hmm.
looking for a part-time job, and just like considering what I'm going to be willing to do or
Right.
not. And part of me is like, okay, well, I don't know unless I try the thing. But
Right.
then another part of me is like, oh, well, I've done so much similar stuff, and this is what has happened in
Oh,
the
did I lose
past,
you?
and those are things that I said like I would never get into another job doing that again. And so then I'm just like, I don't know, I just got kind of feel torn between, well, I really don't know what's going to happen unless I try, so do I try it, or
Right.
do I be like, no, I'm not even going to put my time and energy into that, because that is a thing that I have already said that like I'm not going to do again.
Mm. But you're also very different than you used to be. Like you're a different person with different skill sets and coping skills and resources.
Right. So I don't know. But then also like
That is hard.
just the thought of being like a cashier standing on my feet for an entire shift, and I can only go to the bathroom and have a snack when they tell me I can. And
Oh,
I have to
yeah.
like talk on phones and stuff, like all of these things. Like I'm just like, I don't think I want to put myself back into that environment, when the last time I did something like that, I ended up in a place where like my body hurts so badly. Like I was so
Yeah.
wiped out that like I couldn't like
Yeah, the burnout of
I
that.
couldn't do the fun things in my life, which is what the point of having a job is so that I can, financially support myself, so I can live my life. While I couldn't do that.
Okay,
So
so maybe you have answers for things that you won't pursue. Sounds like standing on your feet for an entire shift is one of them. So maybe then shifting focus towards something that's desk based that allows you to stand and sit as you need,
yeah.
something more admin, which you have plenty of resources for because you've been doing that kind of work for a long time. It is hard though, because like you said, you don't know sometimes until you do it.
Yeah.
And then like the idea of starting it, well, I don't know if this is true for you, but for me, just getting past that hurdle of starting something is so arduous. Like
Hmm.
just
Is this the transitions again? Also,
maybe.
did we just talk about transitions like we were just talking? I don't think that we put it I don't think it was in a recorded episode.
I honestly could not tell you. Remember
Well,
I mentioned the brain fog? Yeah, that's been real bad lately.
I've just been like forgetting things, and it's almost comical
Yeah, I've
to me.
just
Like
been hysterically laughing a lot. Like, what did I text a friend? That meme that talks about how once you're an adult and you live alone, it's like you have to wake up in the morning and be like, who closed last night? But it's just you here. But like things around my house, I was like, why would I ever? That couldn't have been me. But it's
yeah.
just me here. I just like so weird, like no recollection of setting things where they're set, like because of how my brain is, I do lose things occasionally, but I have so many, like, I always put these items in the same 3 spots all the time. And like, I do like the impulse thing where if I'm holding something in my hand, it's like, this needs to go where it goes. And then like, I do that. And then like, I just woke up the one morning and I had like left something out of the fridge that needed to go into the fridge. I put something in the fridge that had no business being there. And it's just like, where are my glasses? Could not find them for like half a day. It was just unreal. I felt like a goblin was in here, just like messing things up just to fuck with me. For weeks. It's getting better now, a little bit. I kind of got some motivation to clean, and I think the lack of clutter and just like piles of things has just helped with the mental processes. But the last couple of weeks have been rough. I kept burning my breakfast. I make the same breakfast every single day. And I kept burning it. And I don't know how I was doing it. I felt like I was doing everything the same. And then I would just turn around and things would be smoking. And I'm like, what is going on?
I wish I knew more about astrology, because I wonder if that is answering any of the questions.
I mean, it is Mercury retrograde, which can cause a lot of just like disruptive things, which I've definitely been experiencing a bit with like the technology of it all. Lots of like freezing and
it's Alexa.
Every time. I can't get my life right, Bridget.
It's fine.
But on the flip side, Mercury retrograde, weirdly, has brought me so much good in a weird time. Like, things that I could not have expected or asked for, just like rolling into my lap.
Okay, same, yeah. Okay.
Like, remember me talking about the shoe dropping feeling where I'm like, this is too good to be true.
Yeah.
That can't be right.
Yeah.
What's the catch? That feeling, like so good that I'm just like, something's wrong. I don't trust it. But all the signs are pointing to, no, that's okay. You can accept this. Like, it's all happening for you.
I like that.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that, like, I am all for these things for us, and for us now, I guess, practicing to be like, yes, we believe it, we trust it, we deserve it, let's go.
That part's hard.
Turns out that's
really
a practice
hard. Ugh. Well, yeah, I think that's what kept on happening, where I was just like, I kept on getting really good news and thinking, well, why don't I feel better yet? And then I did start feeling better. And then I was like, well, I don't trust it. Why don't I feel bad? And I'm like, isn't the brain funny? I just can't have anything nice. But I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am working on it. And I think some of it's kind of what you were talking about with the holding yourself back thing. I think some of it's that for me, where it's a fear that I'm going to get these things and then not be deserving of them, or not be capable of like following through on an opportunity that I'm getting. Like, just like a lot of, old chatter of you need to earn things and you also aren't worthy of stuff and you're incapable. Go in your cave, never to be seen again. You know? That old thing, that old hat.
Yeah, those things. Yeah. I feel it. Yeah, I feel all of that, like, on a real big level, I feel like that is definitely coming up. And something about what you said made me think of this job stuff that somebody just reflected back to me that was like, Bridget, isn't this a beautiful Mercury retrograde blessing with all of this job stuff and bringing it all back up so you can look at it again now and like just like thinking about it in that way? Because like I have felt so just trampled
Yes.
by it. And when she was like, oh, Mercury retrograde is just like handing you this on a platter, like what are you going to do with it now? And I was like, oh shit,
Yes.
like okay, all right. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, it doesn't feel so bad anymore, that it's just like, oh, it was just time for this to resurface and for me to take another look at it.
And
Then I
especially with that
forgot.
eclipse energy, because that was all about like releasing patterns that you have been repeating over and over. Like it's supposed to be like a big cleansing, washing up of things that don't serve us. And then Mercury retrograde happened right after.
Oh.
So it is supposed to be pretty big shifts, like collectively, but I think it's showing up in personal charts and it's in your season. So there's that too.
Yeah.
So you might be feeling it even more acutely than other folks.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Um, when was the last eclipse season or Mercury retrograde? Or do you remember?
Well, Mercury retrograde happens more often, and
Right.
some of them are just, I don't know. I feel like they're a lot quieter. I feel like this one feels louder because of the eclipse energy. But like the last time,
Was it around Christmas?
probably. Sorry, I was trying to remember when the eclipse, there's themes with eclipses where you have like a bunch of eclipses in two different signs. And we went from Scorpio to Taurus, and now we're in Aries and Libra. And I'm trying to remember the date that happened, but right now it's out of my head because time's hard and brain fog.
That's
But this
okay.
like year is like where that shift happened, where we were dealing with themes from those other signs. And now we're shifting more into that Aries as like the individual and Libra as like in relationship, and like balancing that and all the different patterns and like sticky spots between those kind of themes is like what has shifted into this year. And that eclipse was like a big energetic clearing for a lot of repetition.
Yeah, is that funny to me that my sun is in Aries and my rising is Libra? I feel
Like I said,
like it's
you're probably feeling it pretty acute.
Yeah. And I'm also like, because I was wondering like when the last Mercury retrograde was, and I think it was like the end of the year. But because I hung out with this person that I'm going to hang out with now on like January 1st. And we hung out and we were talking about like job stuff and like transitioning and
I think there was a Mercury retrograde on January 1st because I remember feeling something astrological was happening then, because I remember feeling like, oh, this is really serendipitous timing that the like collective like new year never really feels like a new year to me. But this year it did, because there was something astrologically happening that was bookending it that made it feel like a big clearing out in a way that I don't normally felt.
Yeah.
But now I can't remember exactly what it was because, again, brain fog.
It definitely felt like some kind of crazy shift.
So yeah, you're thinking about that correctly. Thank you for jogging my memory. That's right. That was just months ago, which feels like lifetimes ago. And I don't even know that girl anymore. So
that is also what I can't wrap my head around, because I'm like, oh, we're halfway through April right now. And I'm like, just how? And like, it feels like that was just like a couple weeks ago or something. And I'm like somehow, like, how has all this time passed? And I'm trying to not get sucked into the thing of, well, I haven't got there yet, right? I should have done this by now. It's been all this time. Like,
Oh, I'm so
why
good at
am I still
that.
why am I still here? Oh. Just
Oh, good
yank.
feelings.
Oh my God, my thing for this week is it is safe to fully feel my emotions. That's what we're
Oh,
practicing.
I'm always needing that reminder. Yeah, that's a big one for me too.
And it seems to keep it's that message seems to be coming up like no matter where I am, what I'm doing, what
Yep.
I'm reading, what I'm listening to. And I'm like, okay, all right.
I've been having to revisit that in the unexpected, expected way. I hate when things come back around and I'm like, I know this, but the reflex I have to dampen down my joy. So before we started recording, I was telling you that I was like, oh, I guess I have to admit to myself that I'm pursuing
Yeah.
things that are exciting and joyful and that I'm happy about. And so now I'm like practicing talking about it with people because I've been very like closed mouth about a lot of things. I think because I was afraid to celebrate because it didn't feel safe to fully enjoy that. Because what if I get disappointed? What if it falls through? And conversely, if I'm going to feel that joy, well, then what bad's going to be able to bubble up and come in? Because if I'm not pushing everything down, everything can come up. And I didn't want to do that either. So then I'm just in this push pull with myself, like, just like letting emotions leak and then like closing it off. And guess what? That's not sustainable.
Yeah, no. And also, like, isn't that such a hoax, too? Those thoughts that do that, because, like, if you think about it, even if you do like a really joyful thing that you're like, right now, this feels great and it's good and I'm liking it and I'm having fun. And like, that is also too always it's going to change and it's going to shift and it's going to turn into new and different things.
Mm-hmm.
But even if something like really hard or challenging like happens within it, it doesn't take away all of the joy and the like all of the rest of the experience too. So it like isn't that such a hoax that those like
Mm-hmm.
things come in and they're like, but what if this, like don't enjoy it now because what if it all goes to shit? Well, what if it all goes to shit? What if I enjoy it through all of it anyway? Like fuck you.
I loved that hand motion. That was so perfectly demonstrative of what it feels like. Yes.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at right now. Is like really, really trying to be like so in the present moment. This is highly influenced by the power of now.
Mm-hmm.
I keep picking it up and putting it down and picking it up and putting it down. But I mean, it just feels like it makes so much sense in my body
Yeah.
that like, yeah, if we are fully present in the moment there and accepting of that, there are no things such as like good or bad experiences. They're just things that are happening and you accept them. And like, so like anything bad that happens is like, oh, you can like learn from it, right? Like it's like, then like, what are you going to do like with it? That whole fucking thing that you said you hated, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yeah, I hate that. It's so right, and I hate it.
But like so I feel like I'm really in the spot of, okay, I feel the truth in these statements and now I gotta just like embody it.
Mm.
And that's the part that is like, I'm coming up against just resistance in all corners, just like.
I also feel a lot of resistance around that. And I think for me, it always seems to trace back to this core belief I have that I can't handle things, that I'm not capable.
Mhm.
And it's so frustrating because I have so many examples of how capable I am.
Yeah.
I have such strong data supporting that I can shift and pivot and recover and do new things and survive a lot, like a lot of feelings. I have survived all of them. Some that weren't even mine.
Oh God. Yeah.
And yet I still have this like belief that it's just one more thing down the line that's going to throw this whole house of cards to the wind. And I'm just like, so interesting how stubborn that is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's for me where this whole like the basket case thing is coming in. Like, is if I can maybe tap into like that kind of energy that like cares a little bit less, right? Like that is just very, yeah, if I don't have to handle things in a certain way, oh, what if it's not that like feeling like I can't handle it, but what if it's like, oh, I feel like I'm not going to handle it right? Or
Oh,
like
also that. Yeah, because I have to handle it perfectly. True. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also part of
Yeah.
it. You're correct. Yeah. I can't be messy or human or soggy about it. And I have to handle it with grace and poise and perfectly, where no
Yeah.
one could find fault with any way that I handled the thing.
Yeah. So that's where I'm like,
Good note.
yeah, I'm tired of that.
Yeah, I am also tired of that. So we should probably stop doing it.
Yeah.
Deal?
Okay.
Shake?
Well, well, let's that'll be on our agenda of things to practice. Yeah, I think that's it. And I'm just gonna call it basket case energy.
Okay, I like that.
Much
more succinct than what I was doing. You're very good at this.
At what?
Coming up with like little title cards for the work.
Thanks. See, look, we don't even know what we're good at. And if we just did what our minds told us to do, which is just like sit alone and be miserable and don't try things and don't tell people things and don't look what we'd miss out on.
I always want to reflect everything that you're good at right back at you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And same. Because like what would our lives be like without this?
I mean, darker in a cave somewhere. I think.
Yes. Yes. So transitions. I have been holding on to that so much since we talked about it and you gave me the idea that getting out of bed in the morning is a transition. And maybe that's why it is challenging for somebody that's neurodivergent or has ADHD or whatever it is. And now every morning I think about that. I'm like, this is a transition. This is the thing that's hard for me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a nice, like, I guess, little pep talk because I've been working for a really, 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 really long time on giving myself pep talks to get out of bed because I realized that I was doing the opposite of that and just like really giving it to myself in the morning. And that was making it so much worse. And so for a while, I didn't know like what to tell myself. And this has been like such an ongoing practice. And so now it has evolved into this bit of compassion that I can be like, this is a transition. This is hard. that's okay. You do it
Ugh.
every morning anyway, even though it's hard. That's like extra gold stars, Bridget. If I hold up my
Oh.
thumbs too long, we're gonna get a celebration. So, this is so long. Is it
That's
not
too
working?
long. Oh, there it goes.
That was so
It was
long.
like, wait for it.
Oh my God. Maybe it's Mercury.
Yeah, we can blame that.
So that has felt nice. And it's also got me thinking about like what other things can be seen as like as transitions, or like other situations that I have a hard time with or struggle with, and how I can work with that instead of having it just be like working against me in my head.
Right. Yeah, it's the same thing we were talking about with that like critic voice when you're working out. Like, of course, you don't want to work out if you have a voice in your head just berating you the whole time. And it's similar with transition. It's like, this is already hard. It's just harder if it's, you shouldn't be this way. Just do it. Because like, we would just do things if we could. That's the problem. We can't. So it's been really nice for me too to like, I've been working on that self-compassion piece, especially with the mornings. And I've had some really good success with it, but like having that transition piece has really helped me get unstuck in a way. Cause like, I'm also that person that like, once they arrive somewhere, I can't just like get out of my car like a normal human being. I have to like sit in the car for a while. And that was always so anxiety inducing for me because I'd just be like, just get out of the car. And like, I couldn't make myself actually do it. But so then I'm just spinning my wheels and burning out my energy before I ever even get to the next thing. And now I've been doing something similar with those things where I'm like, and now we're transitioning. Like we know what's happening. It's one phase to another phase. This is hard. We don't have to spin our wheels screaming at ourselves, get out of the car. Because we will eventually. It's going to get too hot in here. Or too cold, depending on the season.
So it's almost like you can take that like moment that's like really hard and then usually has all of the like critical things on top of it, and instead be like acceptance, right? Like, yes, this is the hard thing. And I think at that point, then it's like, oh, what are maybe some things that could help make this easier for me? If the compassion is not enough, because sometimes I feel like that is just enough to have that and to be able to let go of that critical voice and be like, nope, we're not doing that anymore.
Well, it frees up a lot of energy for creative problem solving that otherwise gets burned up with the berating and stalling, like resistance feeling.
Yeah. Like, one thing for me that I'm like bouncing around in my head is the idea that like if I saw, well, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's just the like being in a conversation and like wanting to be like out of a conversation or like leaving somewhere, like something like that. So I'm thinking of it as like if you run into somebody at the store, like, hi, like, what's up? How's it going? Like that is in my head kind of like a nightmare situation.
Because how do you transition?
Right. And that's what I'm thinking of it. I'm like, oh, this is a transition. Like I came to the store to do this specific thing, and now something else has cut me right in the middle of it. And now all of a sudden I'm in a different thing. And then I'm feeling like I want to continue doing what I came here to do. I want to be out of this conversation. And I have a lot of times felt like I don't know how to get out of conversations. But if I'm like looking at it kind of like in this way, like what can I utilize to help me in this moment? And for me now I'm like, oh, I think I can tap into some kind of like archetype embodiment of like, instead of feeling like I am trapped or stuck in this situation that I don't know how to get out of, that feels very, I guess, like disempowering.
Right.
And so I'm like, how can I take that what's the word? Not authority or autonomy, or like, how can I take that, like,
Agency?
agency?
Exercise your agency?
Yeah. So I'm like, can I embody the person that says, like, I am this human being. I am doing this thing. I can come and go whenever I want to go. It's not dependent on that other person that has stopped me. They're not in charge of me. So I can be like, stand tall, put my shoulders back, embody like a confident, like, I gotta go, thanks, bye. And just like, if I have that energy in me, instead of like, oh my God, I'm stuck in this thing, I don't know how to get out, I'm doing this thing, but like this came up and now I'm in just this, like, how do I get out of this? Instead, if I can just be like, oh, I need to transition out of this, can I embody a character and go
I
back to
love
doing the
that.
thing? And that feels like I'm like bouncing that around.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to be doing the same now. Thank you. I did need that. You're a very powerful witch, and I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. I was trying to explain that to Luke the other day. I'm not sure he quite gets it on the same level, but you know, it's okay.
I mean, sometimes it takes repetition because this is not a new concept to me. We've talked about
Yeah.
this at length. And so
Yeah.
this is just another iteration of it. So if it's a new concept for someone, yeah, of course. It's like, you're going to do what now? And how's that going to help?
Right. Right. But I feel like maybe a piece that feels like it's like unlocking a little bit more for me is the, I guess, like, the awareness bit of, and the freeing up of the space to have the
Right.
creative problem solving. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I am more able to tap into an archetype,
Right.
or like embody like confidence, or to, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
remember I am the main character of my own story, and I can leave whenever I want, and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And it's not this, like, you know, I have to act and react based on what I feel like and I think this other person is, you know, I'm like,
Uh-huh. The mental gymnastics and
oh
like
my God.
guesswork. Ugh.
So now that, like, that feels like it's more freed up in my mind,
Right.
I think I'm understanding things better. How long have I been like going to workshops and hearing people talk about like archetype embodiment and this concept, and I'm like, yeah, that's so cool. Like, and I've just
Yeah,
like
same.
not, and I've just like not felt like I got it or know how to do it, or like could bring it up in
Right.
situations
Mm-hmm.
like this.
Yep, I agree.
But now it feels more accessible.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to
Wow.
be thinking about this a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did need that.
Good job. Good job, you, on telling me about transitions.
My absolute pleasure. This is why we're doing this. The beautiful feedback loop. Thanks for creating magic with me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.